Hey, and good afternoon, everyone. Well, they're letting it loose. The cat is out of the bag. How you are going to have to pay for every aspect of your life. If you think you are now, you have seen nothing yet. Also, Switzerland scoured clean again, once in a 1,000-year flood, twice in a week. Let's talk about some solutions, too, as supermarkets are closing across the planet. And because of the currency woes in Argentina and the skyrocketing prices and currency devaluation, Argentine farmers discarding hundreds of tons of mandarins. This is in Entre Rios. People can't afford the oranges or mandarins, and instead of selling them at such a discount and flooding the market, they're destroying it. Did we not see the same thing in the Great Depression in the 1930s? And speaking of reductions in availability of nutrition, Stop and Shop, supermarket chain, fears mass closures. They're going to close 400 stores in these 5 states. Now, the article, which I link below, also goes into other countries and the stores that are going to be closing. It's more than a wheelbarrow full, but I wanted to stay here U.S.-centric because that article covers everywhere across the planet where these stores are closing. But New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, that is a very densely packed area. But when you start to close this many supermarkets in this densely packed area in the eastern United States, wow, where are people going to go for their food? And since I wanted to talk about solutions on this, I visited Xi'an in 2020. We flew through Xi'an heading over to Europe before the COVID started. And Xinjiang bread, this is another thing you're going to have to think about. People are complaining to me almost every day writing about bread prices. You're going to have to start making and baking your own breads. That is as simple as it can get. If one skill you can learn to save yourself money, baking bread and preparing rice and beans. Get a rice and bean cookbook and also learn how to make breads. Now, flatbreads like this are quite easy to make. Some of the simplest. You're not doing a catawba, something Italian. You know, you can, but if you want to go for simple breads first, you're going to start with something like this. And if you want, then you can couple it with meats, and this is what has always been done through history. Along with the meat in smaller bites and smaller portions than we have is just one giant steak coming out on a plate here. You know, eating habits are going to have to change too, to trick the body into thinking that you're consuming more food than you are. But then also you have the different types of sesame seeds and pumpkin seeds, etc., that you can put on top of. And also yesterday I had talked about Ukrainian power cuts. They're only going to have 4 hours per day. Now, I got this notice. Somebody sent me this. Thank you for sending to official notice warning. As of May 17th, they're going to restrict the electric. So from midnight to 8 a.m. and then also it looks like 7 p.m. to midnight. So this is at least the official information, and as they're talking about moving into winter, they're only going to have 4 hours of power. So, you know, this is a gargantuan shift here. Gold investors need to buy the dips. Central banks are. Bloomberg and Citigroup are calling for 3,000 by 2025. TD Securities said silver eyes $50 an ounce. And in 2024, gold is up 18% and silver 35%. Call the proud Americans of the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention the Adapt 2030 channel. You're going to get some great in-class service. Also, Patriot Gold Group has a no-fee-for-life IRA where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. No fee-for-life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. And what I talked about in yesterday's video was Ukrainian long winter power outage projections, only 4 hours. They have about $50 billion in damage that they need to repair. And then what they're trying to do now is raise infrastructure funds, I guess, by raising the rates 60% on the electric that you get. So if you have 4 hours, you're going to pay 60% more for those 4 hours. Because they had some deal with the IMF. Then an IMF is demanding their money. So here's where every aspect of your life is going to change, and the model is right in front of us. So it might be one thing where they say $50 billion to come out and fix the grid, but it's not. They're going to require you to buy $3,000 to $4,000 worth of solar panels because they're not going to fix the grid. See, this is the consumption model that they're moving to. If our old antiquated systems fail, then you will be required to buy the new green tech to move you through into the new system. This just happens to be power generation, and we can see where it moves, and then even at the very last sentence, the pan-European trend. So in Germany, they're not going to turn the gas back on. They're just going to require everybody to get solar panels and put them on your roof. That's going to be out of cost for you, but guess who's going to benefit? Conglomerates across the planet. They're all going to be continuing to boost share values while you get raked over the coals with more inflation. And again, we're talking about solutions. Let's talk about Walter Russell for a second here. Same time as Tesla, but again, a lot of these patents need to be dusted off and taken a look at, because I want to do sacred geometry and crystallography at the same time, two birds, one stone. And then once you start to add in Schauberger vortices and vortex technology into this, we have a working system that could, well, we wouldn't need to repair the grid any longer, let's say that. But there wouldn't be any centralized billing system to pay into every month either. And as the new system emerges, here's another one. Water Systems warns Americans could soon see major rate hikes to filter out the chemicals in the water. Okay, so I didn't pollute the water. Some company did. Now I need to pay more for my water bill, and they're talking about a 3x increase further in the article. So this just comes to the same thing. We're going to deliver you the water, but if you want clean water, you're going to have to pay for the chemicals that have been dumped in for the last 70 years by, you got it, the same conglomerates and corporations that are now responsible for the water supply. You see the circle? And you're going to get milked. 3 times higher water prices, $5,000 for solar panels, 60% higher prices for this, higher doubling, groceries. You see where it goes. Might as well take you to plastics, because the world is flooded with plastic waste. You already know where I'm going with it. So global plastic waste by the tonnage, packaging, consumer products, vehicles, textiles, electronics. This has all ended up in our oceans. And yes, you are going to have to pay a plastics tax to go on a beach for a beach cleanup for plastic. And again, I'm not the one manufacturing all this plastic, but you are going to be required to pay a tax to go visit the beach for retroactive and proactive beach cleaning, in addition to what was already charged to go on these beaches. This is a separate fee. I've just covered 3 of the basics that you're going to be using here in life: food, electricity, and water, and then, leisure. That would be 4. And this is the model that we're moving to. How much wealth do you think you'll have left as we move to this new model? Everything's moved to a subscription model. Have you noticed? I used to be able to buy a piece of software to edit videos, and now they want a subscription where I can't own the software any longer. You have to continually get it by the year or by the month. And as soon as you stop paying, all the work that you've done is no longer accessible, so you got to make sure you back everything up. But the subscription model for the world, and now it's coming to the pay for access to model. I want clean water. I don't want the chemicals in it. But that was supposed to be guaranteed from the water company anyway. But wait. So now start coupling all of these up, and then you can see where it's moving to. If you're not going to be able to afford all of these changes, what's your next move then? Okay, baking your own breads is one thing, but thinking about these types of changes when the entire planet is going to shift its business model into this. You're responsible for your own cleanup of all the problems that have been put out into our world over the last 70 years through the companies. And the more revenue they generate, the higher stock price, but then they're taking the money from you, who's not even an investor. You're just the person on the street that needs to pay. Now, somewhere in here, there's definitely an opportunity, but what do you think it is? And another just, I can't believe it story here. We come back to Switzerland once again, and you can see the very same type of overtopping, shall we say, to the right of the structure. It seems like every time when dams come, when you're looking at it, it appears to be the right, but if you're facing downriver, it'll be to the left. There's a breakthrough that seems to occur at the right, but if you're looking at Schauberger principles, when something's rediverted, it always goes that direction. So I encourage you to look at Schauberger vortex principles, and you'll see why the water is always breaking on that side of the dam or the bridge. Overtopping here, and I thought, you know, June 30th, wait a minute, they just had something like a week ago of the same magnitude, even larger. These are twisted bridges, and I'm thinking, twisted bridges like that, what kind of water volume is required to come out of the mountains to do such a thing? Incredible, just ferocity in the water here. This is so far orders of magnitude above anything that they're prepared for. Absolute devastation in the Swiss Alps. Overnight flooding for the second time, and these would be, 500 to 1,000 year floods easily. But 2 of them in a week, that's a little bit outrageous to think of with the mudslides and the flooding, etc. And the Zermatt, you got to check this video. See, that's a canal right in the middle of town over flooding of how much is, this is far down valley, far out of the bigger mountains, where what you saw right there with the bridges ripping. And we're still getting this kind of water flow that even the most modern infrastructure in one of the most developed countries in the world can't handle. So wrap your head around that for a second, and then double it by looking at this back on June 21st. They also had incredible floods ripping through villages and bridges destroyed. Again, just massive floods twice in 9 days. Something is definitely just twisted in the atmosphere here, and I'll bring you to Hurricane Beryl, starting to show up on the maps now. Eye is well defined, category 4, earliest forming category 4 ever, broke the record from 1957, and it's also the furthest east and south ever recorded this earlier, and those records go back to 1933. The water temperatures put out here by NOAA, this is preseason map, they were showing you this a fair few weeks ago. But you can see that the formation of that hurricane is exactly in the same warmer waters, just a little bit north of South America there. So it begs the question, what is going on? Because we are in the wild ride right now. You can see it, economy, society, and our food production. Globally, those are the same 3 things that are always checked in boxes of changes of an age, the resets, the cycles, the fourth turnings, the grand solar minimum cycles, the Bray, the Divrays, and overlapping times here. I do think if you're watching, I hope you got something out of the video. Share with your friends and family so we can come up with more solutions together. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.